Hello there, my name's Zoe Murphy. I'm a furniture and textile designer from Margate. And today I thought I'd jump on and give you guys a tutorial for how to make a fabric banner using things that you've got around the house. So here are most of the things you're going to need to use to make your banner. Nearly all of them can be found around the house, and if you can't get them from home, the supermarket is most likely to have them. We've got some paint, a nice sponge to sponge all of that paint on with, pillowcase, just check no one needs it before you use it, some salt, some potatoes for printing, we've got some turmeric, which is the thing that's going to give a lovely colour to the fabric, got some vinegar, this is the white vinegar, scissors, a knife, that's for cutting the potatoes, be a bit careful with that, a pen, some paper, a nice big pot to dye everything in, and then finally some rope and a bit of string to tie that rope on to a stick that we're going to find in the garden. So to start me off with my natural dye bath, I've got my big pot, and in it I've put about 4 or 5 big cups of water. You can use as much or as little water as you like, you just need to make sure it covers your fabric when it's on the hob cooking away. And next I'm going to add some turmeric. For my dye bath, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put maybe half a dessert spoon of turmeric in for every 1 cup I've done. Now, given that I've put about 5 cups in, I'm going to go for about 2.5 big dessert spoons full of turmeric. Now, this will make a great colour all on its own, but with all dyes it's really good to have something that's going to fix the dye to the fabric once it's kind of cooked in the colour. Vinegar and salt tend to be the ones that people use the most, so I think I'll start off with some vinegar, just pop that in there. I'm going to do about, let's see, maybe 3 of these spoons, these nice big tablespoons of vinegar. 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe I'll do the same with salt as well. And do 3 of salt as well. 1, 2, 3. Got a nice little stir around. Now I'm going to heat this up on the stove. I'm going to put my fabric that I've got really damp in once it started boiling a little bit. Off we go. Here I am in my kitchen, and I've got the pot of dye on to cook on the hob, and I'm putting some rubber gloves on because this could get messy. There it is, all finished. Cooling away on the hob. Once it's cooled down a bit, I'm going to lift it out, rinse it out in the sink, and then put it for a quick spin in the washing machine without any detergent. So I'm rinsing it out with cold water now, and you can see how a lot of the colour is coming out. That's because the dye is disappearing down the drain, it's taking a lot of the colour with it. Here it is, out of the wash. And look, there's a bit of sunshine. We can hang it out to dry. We've dyed it, and now it's hung out somewhere to dry. While we're waiting on that to happen, you could get busy making your stencil and your stamps to use on your banner. So, for the stencil, for the lettering, I'm going to use 2 pieces of paper. I'm going to draw some letters on my piece of paper, and I'm going to carefully cut them out with a pair of scissors or a craft knife if you've got one of those. I think it's quite a good idea to make the whole stencil in one go, because then you can really see where it's going to land on the fabric and move it all around together. I'm going to be writing the word hope today, and I'm going to go for H-O-P-E. When you are doing lettering, and you can afford to because bits are going to get cut away and you're only doing a stencil, it can be quite a good idea to draw boxes where your lettering is going to go. This means that when you make your letters, they end up roughly the same size. It's quite easy to draw a box the same as the last box. It can be a bit hard to do that with letters when you're trying to focus on making them also look really good. And the great thing about this is because I'm cutting all of this away and you're not actually going to see the pen, I can get it wrong as many times as I like. Say I did my O too small, doesn't matter, I could just draw it bigger again. I think I'll leave the centre because I know that I'm not going to cut that out very well anyway. It will disappear. There we go. That is ready to cut out. I'm going to position my stencil right about where I want it to go. This is the important part, and I don't want to get that wrong. That looks about in the middle for me. And I'm going to tape it down just to make sure it doesn't shuffle around as I'm sponging the paint through. Now you can see that there's an opportunity for these to lift up and move around. So we don't want to get paint underneath. So what I'm going to do when I use mine, I'm going to be really careful about actually pressing it onto something else to take a bit of the paint off and just carefully only going up and down. I'm absolutely not going to rub it around. I'm going to hold each bit and just sponge away. And I might need to keep going back to get some more. And you can see here if I lift that up, it's going to leave a really crisp edge. So the other thing we're going to do is make the stamps that we're going to decorate the top and the bottom of our banner with using these little tiny potatoes that I've got here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop them in half, draw on the flat area a nice little design, and I'm going to remember that if it is anything that's going to be back to front when I print it, you have to do it in reverse. While we're waiting for the fabric to dry, we can make the stamps. So I've got the potatoes, a pen and a knife. Got to be careful with this. First of all, I'm going to chop them in half. I'm going to want to cut some interesting shapes into these so that when I'm printing, they'll make a really fantastic stamp. I think I'll draw on some designs with the pen, just really making a bit of an indentation. And then I'm going to use the knife to carefully cut it away, making sure that it's always going away from my body. So there I've got a little cross, and I'll just chisel that out. A nice cross, or it could be a kiss. That'd be very cute. So I've got 4 stamps to play with there. I think that's going to be enough to maybe make some patterns. I think this is all dry. I'm going to peel them off. Hey, happy with that. So this is all dry now after leaving it overnight. I hope you like my banner. I'm very happy with how this is coming out. So I am ready to print the top of my banner with some nice decoration. I've got my paint, my potatoes, and a nice brush to work with as well. I'm going to start by loading these with a bit of the black paint using a paintbrush. And the other important thing to remember, perhaps, design-wise, is that I'm going to start in the middle. If I started on the edge, all nice and neat, and I got to this end, I might end up with half a stamp and it will look kind of off center. So if I start in the beginning of my design and work my way outwards, you know that everything kind of matches up nice and evenly. So I think I'm going to begin with a nice big circle and see how that goes. And load that up with some paint. Here we go, first one. I'm going to put it right in the center and give it a really good press. Hey, look at that! I mean, that's so clean and clear. So you can see I have to load up my potato with the paint each time. Not too much, not too little. I could always, but maybe if I turn it the other way, it means that your designs, although they look similar, they're not super identical every time. hope with some decoration to boot. And now all I have to do is cut some holes in each end and get myself a stick to go through, tie some string to that stick, and this will be ready to hang. I am going to put a nice crossbar across the top of this. So I'm going to cut a little shape at the top there to make a hole in my pillowcase, and I'm going to do one on the other side. I should be able to thread my garden stick through. There we go, superb. And the final thing I need to do to hang it up is to get this piece of cord to make a little hanging bit there. I'm just going to need a little bit of thread, and I think what I'll do is I'll curve this over to make it look really nice and neat when I'm attaching it. And then I'm going to get the thread. Maybe I'll start by tying a knot round this and go round and round and round until I feel like it's really secure on there, and tie them at the back. Cut them away. And if I repeat that on the other side, and that is our banner ready to hang. We've learned how to make a banner, one that we can hang up to cheer everybody up. You've learned how to dye fabric with a natural dye. You've even learned how to stamp and stencil. Oh,